Okay, so open up that style.css. What we're going to do now is we're going to change let's change the whole background. So we're going to say body. Background URL. We want to select that image, the big background image. And we're just going to say top, center, no, left. No, I lied. Center. This is going to be center of the screen, top and left. If you know what I mean. Center, no repeat. We don't want this to repeat because that's weird. But now let me show you what happens. So we got our background, but we got this big space on the top and the bottom, and that's not cool. It doesn't look good. We want that to be the full width of the full height and width. How do we do that? It's actually quite easy with the CSS3, and all you got to do is say background size cover. Now watch what happens. It will automatically resize the image, the background image, to be whatever height and width you throw at it. And so cool, no problems. Now what we got to do is we want to give, back in our index.html, we actually want to wrap everything here in a container div because we want to set a hard-coded width. So div ID container, good old-fashioned container. Close that below the footer. And I'm going to say in container here. Okay, now I'm just going to select all this and hit tab just to move that all in. So we got some space. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to select that container and give it a hard-coded width. We want to do that. We want to say width. Let's find out how wide that is. We got, we're looking at 155. So what I did there was I turned on the grids here, the guides, because we can actually click with lock to them and find out the width here. And if I open up this info panel here, width 620. That is one skinny site. So let's do that. Width 620 pixels and margin 0 auto. It's going to center everything there. There we go. Perfect. We're getting there. Now what we want to do is we want to select that header. And we got to do a number of things, I believe. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right here. Header. Cool. Let's center everything in the header. Text align. Center. Let's see what happens. It's getting there. Perfect. Okay. The next thing I want to do, because it's kind of bugging me, is change the global font color and font family. We want to select up here in body and say color, which is the text color, white. And then I want to say font family, and we had Courier. I believe that's what it was. And I'm going to say monospace. And there you go. It looks good. That's exactly what we're going for. Okay. And now up here in the header, we have, these are not looking right. They're not correct. Let's see what it looks like in the design. They're actually lowercase, which we can use CSS to change. And they're up beside each other and they got a line. So let's fix that. Because it's an unordered list, we got these bullets here and some margin and padding that we don't want. So all you got to do is select that nav, UL, and we're going to say list style, none. And that's going to give you the ability to change the list style, circles, decimals, discs, numerical. I believe that's one of them. I might have just lied. Yeah, forget I said that. But you could do lots of different things if you want to change the list style. But I want none. I don't want any list style at all. So let's check it out. List style's gone, but it's still not centered properly. So we just have to simply say padding 0 because there's some padding on there. Perfect. Now we need to have these sit up beside each other. You could do that using floats, but because it's centered, I'm going to actually say nav ULLI display inline block. And that will keep them centered and float them, not float them, but pop them up beside each other. The other thing is we need to change the color of the links here, and these need to be lowercase. So it's simple. We're just going to say, we can select all A tags, and you can use this without the pseudo class there. And we're going to say color white. And actually change my mind. Link. And we're going to do all the rest here. So link visited. And we're going to have this color be, let's do that yellow. Let's find out what that yellow color is. back of Photoshop. Use your eyedropper tool. Click on that yellow. Find out what that color is. There it is. F-E-F-F-E-A-O-O. Fiao. Fiao. And okay. Paste that in there. And now when you visit and hover. So link visited. Let's do the same thing. Color. Fiao. Cool. And we want this to be text decoration none. We want no underline. That's what I just did. Remove the underline. And I'm going to leave active. I don't care about active. Who cares, right? Let's check it out. Okay, so kind of did something wrong here. They need to be white, and when you hover, they turn yellow. So let's change that. Link color visited. Link visited. Haha, that's why. Because they've been visited. Color white. And remove that second one. Now. Perfect. And now the link here, we want it to be text transform lowercase. And that will take in lowercase those links. Cool. Other thing is I want to find out the proper body size here. So I'm going to select this with my text tool. And I can see it's 14 pixels. So why don't we make the base font size 14 pixels. So I'm going to say font size in the body 14 pixels. And that should modify a few things. Cool. Next thing I want to do is I want to give some space in between these links, and the header needs some padding. Let's find out exactly how much so we don't piss off our designer. Who is me? Don't piss me off. Just kidding. Okay, so we got, use the marquee selection tool here. And we got 20 pixels in height. So 20 pixels of padding there we want to do. And we've got, what, 20 pixels down here too. Cool. And some space in between here. How much should we got? Looks like we're pretty much 30 pixels. Okay, that's what we're going to do, my friends. Watch this. Header. Padding. 20 pixels, top and bottom, 0 left and right. Solving some problems already. Looking real good. Let's find out. Let's see. Wait, we got nav ULLI. We need to give these guys some padding. Let's change that to margin. Margin, 0 on the top and bottom, 15 pixels on the left and right. That's going to get 30 in between. There we go. Now, this looks a little too tight here, so let's find out how much space we got between. It might be good. 20 pixels again. How much do we got here? It's from the logo. We got not enough. So let's just give a little bit of margin here from the nav. So let's say nav. We're going to say margin top, just 5 pixels just to give it a bit more space. And I think we're good. No, we're not. No, we're not. Of course we're not. Let's try 20 just to see if it's even working. Okay, there we go. Perfect. That's 20 pixels. Now we're looking good. Now we're in business. Next thing we want to do is we want to add a border at the bottom of that header. So all we got to do is say border, bottom, solid 1 pixel, white. Oh my gosh, it's coming together so good, guys. Cool. Okay, a little too much space here. Something's not right. See that? So what do we got here? What's going on? I think we've got some margin under our unordered list. And that is pretty typical of normalize. It will give margin to your lists. So check it out. Problem solved. That looks good. Now what we need to do is we need to take this We Sell Beach Toys seriously, center it, give it some space here. How much space exactly? Marquee selection tool, tell me. We got 50 pixels. And We Sell Beach Toys, bold, seriously, next line, not bold. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to our thing here. And we're going to jump down to, we're going to select the section. Because, let's see, we got section. Let's just leave it as section. You can put an ID if you want, but because this is such a simple homepage, I'm just going to style it as section. But keep in mind, if you have section tags throughout the rest of your site, it's going to get these styles unless you give it an ID. So you know what? Let's give it an ID so we don't mess things up. Tagline, good enough, right? No problems. Section with the ID of tagline. You could do this, or you can just go like that. So whatever you want. Tagline, we're going to say text align center. and then we're going to give it a little bit of space. So let's find how much space we need. So we got to have some 50 pixels up here and probably around the same on the bottom. No, way more. 160. Okay, so watch this. We got 50 pixels, 0, 160 pixels. That's going to give us 50 on the top, 0 left and right, 160 on the bottom. Okay, not bad, not bad. Why don't we got 160 on the bottom here? What's going on? I'm assuming because I said tagline was the whole thing, and so yes, that's what's going on. We want to select that H1 and give that a margin bottom of 160. So tagline, we actually don't want that much space, just 0. 50 on the top though. But tagline H1, we want that to have a margin bottom of 160 pixels. That's better. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to take seriously, put on a second line, and make it not bold, not italic. All you got to do here, tagline H1, we're going to say M, font, weight, normal, font style, and that will give us the ability to turn off the italic by saying normal, and then display block. So it sets on its own line. There we go. We sell beach toys seriously. Is that right? Looking pretty good. Let's see if there's a font weight. Let's go lighter. Let's see if it has that option. It might not. I don't think it does. Let's try 100. Doesn't. No worries about it. Sometimes fonts have that. Sometimes they don't. Cool. We sell beach toys seriously. Now let's do that button. Why not, right? What do we got? We got that button. Let's find out the height and width. Very easy. We saved the background image here in the image folder. Button background. What do we got? 305 by 86. So all you got to do is say we got our button. So let's say A with the class of button. I don't think we added the class yet, so let's do that. Give this the class of button. Go back here. We're going to say display. We're going to go block. We're going to say height was 86 pixels. Width was 305 pixels. Background URL. We're selecting that button background there. And then we're going to say top left, no repeat. And yeah, let's just see what it looks like so far. Getting there. It's over to the left. It's not centered, but we can fix that. And the text you can't see, so we need to modify some stuff. So let's center that. We're going to say, whoops, this shouldn't be width. Sorry, this should be width. That's brackets trying to be helpful and being dumb. Okay, so we got margin 0 auto. Centered, great. So now we want to vertically center that text and change the font style there for that text. So we're just going to say color is black. There we go. What else do we got? The font size there for that is 18 pixels. So we've changed that to font size 18 pixels. And then line height is the height of the button itself, 86 pixels. That will vertically center it. There we go. And now we want some sort of feedback when we hover over this to show like that it's working other than the cursor there. We want a little bit more. So why don't we do something like, let's say A button hover. What we're going to do is we're going to say color, let's go white. Let's see what happens. Okay. It's okay, but it's not a lot of contrast. So let's just add some text shadow. Use some CSS3 text shadow. Text shadow. Let's go 0 pixels, 1. You could just say 0, 1 pixel, and 333. Let's see what that does. A little bit more, but we need a little blur there. Let's say 5 pixels of blur. There we go. Now you can see browse the shop. And now when we click, we want to do something as well. I'm going to give it a little bit of an active. So I'm clicking now, but nothing's happening. It feels like it's stiff. That button is stiff. So A button active. So this is when it is pressed down, mouse down, clicked, whatever you want to call it. We're going to say position, relative. Now we can have access to the top, to the top left, right, and bottom properties here. I'm just going to say 1 pixel. Watch this. Watch what happens when I click this. Do you see that? See how it moves down 1 pixel? So it just gives you a bit more feedback. Kind of cool. All right, last thing we're going to do here is get this footer. All we need to do is find out the font size. That is 12 pixels, and it's how far down from the bottom of that button. 150 pixels. So all we got to do here is say footer, text align center, font size 12 pixels, margin top 150 pixels. Let's see what happens. And there it is. Let me make this full screen. There we go. We've got our logo here, which is a link. It takes you back to the home page. Home store, about contact. We sell beach toys seriously. Browse the shop. And we've got our footer. Nice. Let's see what it looks like in Photoshop. There it is. That's what it looks like in the browser. Super cool. That's how you do it. That's how you slice up, you export those assets, and you turn your Photoshop document into a living, breathing web page website. Now, that being said, make sure to validate your code. We need to talk about that real quickly. So I provided some links here in the resources section for HTML and CSS validators. All you got to do is just Google HTML validator and CSS validator, and W3 schools here, or W3C, they give you the ability to do that. So you can upload by an address, direct input by putting your code, or you can put a file. I always do the direct input, and then all you got to do is just take your code, copy it, paste it, click check. It'll tell you if you've got any errors, bugs, anything like that. Same deal with the CSS validator. This one is the W3C again. You just do file upload, URI, or direct input, paste that code, check it, and then you're good to go. And so, yeah, that's how you validate your code, PSD to HTML. There it is.